Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Stomp This Way. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing
I'm
today?
doing good. I'm doing very good. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, well, you ready for our movie this week?
Sure.
We're getting back into Ultraman.
Oh, yeah,
Couldn't escape it for that long. Yeah, so, this week we're doing Ultraman Arc, the movie, The Clash of Light and Evil.
Ooh.
Shouldn't it be the clash of... It either should be the clash of good and evil or the clash of light and dark. But the clash of light and evil doesn't... It's whatever. Man, I'm sorry. Anyway. Or you can go by the original Japanese title, roughly translated as Ultraman Arc, the movie. Super dimensional battle. Arcs of light and dark. See? They use light and dark.
Yeah.
Why can't the English title use light and dark? But, yeah. Production trivia. This is set between episodes 21 and 22. Ooh. The director felt that he had completed the arc, no pun intended, or is it intended, with the show. So instead of introducing a new super powerful enemy with giant stakes, he instead wanted to explore a story in an alternate timeline. He originally intended for this to be a prequel, but they changed it to be set during the show so they could have the Arc armor, because, they got to sell toys. What are we doing here? The narrative structure also breaks from a typical Ultraman movie. It's tells three independent stories, almost like a anthology movie.
Yeah.
Sort of. Did you know? I guess this is true. I mean, I found it a little hard to believe. I felt like we've seen this before. This is the first film to feature an Ultraman, or first time ever, I guess, that we see an Ultraman shedding tears. But that's what it said. I was flipping through my memory banks of all those old show. I mean, I guess in Ultraman form, maybe we haven't seen them shed tears. But that's what it says. But did you like Ultraman Arc, the show?
I enjoyed it.
Did we do a recap episode of that?
Pretty sure.
I think we did. I think I listened to it the other day to get myself prepared. And I already forgot. But I guess that's how I feel about it. I mean, yeah, I remember thinking basically, I mean, the show is fine. It's your pretty typical modern Ultraman thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here we are with the movie. Box office, I don't have any numbers other than to tell you it was released on February 21st of this year, 2025. And we just got it on our Mill Creek Blu-ray set.
Ooh.
So thank you, Mill Creek. Not sponsored by Mill Creek. We would accept such sponsorship. But anyway, I've got the trailer pulled up, so let's play that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the cast and crew, the plot summary, and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see you in a bit.
君に勇者としての資格があるかどうかスペシャルな試練だもし失敗したら力を失う
何か企んでるのかも
レポステージはその開発データを奪おうとしていた黒いアーク承知
強大な力を持つ者は時として世界を破滅に導く。
まずい。
何？
これで最後ですね。ウルトラマンアークザ・ムービー超次元大決戦光と闇のアーク。
Ooh. What'd you think about that trailer, Andrew? Was it exciting?
It was exciting.
It was
enough.
so exciting. But anyway, cast and crew. This is directed by Takanori Sugimoto, written by Jun Sugita, effects by Izumi Shimada, music by Yuki Hayashi, and starring Yuki Tatsuka, Sho Kaneda, Kaho Mizutani, Koichiro Nishi, Shoki Nakayama, Hinako Tanaka, Nayato Takenaka, Yuya Hirose, and Miki Mizuno. And the plot is roughly as follows. When Yuma encounters the time-altering alien Daggle, the alien tells Yuma he is going to administer 3 tests to him. If Yuma fails, he will lose the power of Ultraman Arc. The first test comes in the form of a mission to help a young man who requests help from the Skip team with his kaiju friend Mugan. The giant wolf dog kaiju is acting ill. At first, the Skip team wants to inform the GGF, but after rushing to the site and seeing Mugan interact with its human friend, they change their mind. Mugan and Ultraman team up to fight off a couple of aggressive kaiju before Mugan peacefully dies of old age. Yuma learns that even kaiju can feel emotions and passes Daggle's test. In the second test, a parasitic interstellar plant infects one of the Skip crew. In order to figure out who is infected, Shu administers a coffee tasting test as the parasite hates caffeine. This test reveals that Rin is the infected one, and Arc, with the help of UP, exorcises the parasite from Rin. Yuma learns the value of keeping your cool and trusting your friends in stressful situations, I guess, and passes Daggle's second test. In the third test, alien Repo arrives and goads Shu into taking on the form of Arc Guile by traumatizing him with memories of the death of his former colleague. Meanwhile, Repo unleashes the kaiju Zerogalus to destroy the Future Science Center. Arc confronts Arc Guile, and Yuma is able to get through to Shu. Once Shu regains his composure, he and Arc team up to defeat Repo, who has converted Zerogalus into Repetios. After their victory, Daggle asks the future Yuma, who came in secret to help the present Yuma, what lesson he learned. After he answers to Daggle's satisfaction, Daggle announces he has passed all 3 tests. Back at the Skip headquarters, Shu announces he has no memory of the event, as the team enjoys a nice hot pot dish and credits roll. More or less?
Yeah.
More or less. Yeah. So, this is going to be a bit of a break from tradition from the Ultraman movie. Typically, the movies are not typically like major canon events or whatever. Like there was a couple movies where it was like a major follow up to the or continuation of the storyline
Yeah.
in the show. I think Trigger was the one that like was really like
Mm-hmm.
really like a conclusion to the show. But they are, they're usually like these kind of spin-off stories, side stories, like you'd get in an anime movie or something, non-canon, or it doesn't affect the canon too much. This one is going to go a bit further. They're going to set it in an alternate universe type of deal with these 3 stories that may or might not have actually happened and don't affect the main timeline at all. But
Because Daggle keeps sending him back.
it goes back to the beginning and starts again. I will say that like I do think that the biggest effect on the canon, I guess, would be, I think Yuma and Shu, have a pretty big some character moments in that third test, even though Shu's not going to remember any of it at the end. But yeah, basically the story is, like I said, they do a pretty neat little trick to, really establish where we're at, that we're somewhere in the middle of the show where like it starts at the end and then it does like the actual like rewind sound and
Yeah.
effect. And he's like, goes all the way back to the beginning. He's like, oh, no, too far. And then they go back.
Yeah.
And he tells you exactly where it's happening right before that episode where everything got like all the colors washed out and there was the weird like Twilight Zone episode or whatever. We're gonna do it's right before those events, and yeah, we're gonna meet this alien Daggle. Was he in the show
No.
at any point? I didn't remember, but and he's gonna, you know, he's pretending to be basically like a lost old man, and Yuma takes him back to the Skip headquarters, and at first he's like water, and then he demands some hot tea, and then he makes Yuma rub his shoulders, and Yuma's like, you're basically like, you're being very demanding, you need to go home. And then that's when he reveals that he's actually an alien, and he's kind of like not exactly, but kind of like, you know, Christmas time's coming up. I thought of, you know, the Christmas Carol where he's going to, you know, he's got to visit the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future to learn lessons. Well, he's going to administer 3 tests to Yuma to basically prove he's worthy of being Ultraman Arc. And I guess this alien Daggle is so powerful, he has the ability to just like take the power of Arc away from Yuma. But I guess he can like totally alter time. So
Yeah.
that would make sense. But I think he's an ambivalent alien.
He can alter the timeline for he never met Arc.
Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna basically give him 3 tests, and the first story I think is my least favorite. It's very grade school level. Like the lesson is gonna be that kaiju have feelings too. So to like really hammer that home with kids, they're gonna go for the easiest metaphor they can, which is like, oh, it's this big dog kaiju. Kaiju are like our pets. They have feelings too. And you know, the kid comes and he wants help with the pet. He says it's dying, and you know, at first even Yuma is like, oh, we need to inform the GDF, and he's like, no, the GDF will capture him or kill him or whatever. And then he runs off, and
They do inform the GDF, by the way.
do they inform the GDF?
Remember, because the GDF strike team comes in at the last minute.
Oh, you're right, they do. Okay. But they do follow the kid to like the nesting ground or whatever, where this kaiju lives underground, and it's a nice kaiju until these 2, I forget what they were called. These 2 like kaiju invade his territory and get into a big fight, and you know, they see that the dog is nice to its human friend, and then Ultraman Arc, he turns into Arc and helps him beat the other 2 kaiju or whatever, and then the dog dies. It's like an Old Yeller in a kaiju form, and I think they shot Old Yeller.
Oh yeah, there was a lot more depressing. He got rabies.
He got rabies and got shot, but no, he's gonna die, and then Yuma at the end's like, oh, he was just old.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it's okay, but like I said, I felt like it was aimed like at 6-year-olds, and I was like, oh, I hope this is not the whole movie.
Because the captain had his whole thing with his dog and all that.
Yeah, the picture of the dog. Yeah, like I said, it's aimed at a very young age, and like they hammer that metaphor home. And like if it wasn't,
and you know, when the dog was in his prime, he was the protector of the mountain.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, it is okay. It is whatever. Now the second segment is my favorite because, I mean, it's the kids, like young kids, are probably not going to get it, but it's at least got an inside joke for the adults watching it. It's a total riff on John Carpenter's The Thing, and it starts with like Ren brings this plant in, or somebody brings this plant in, and it turns out to be intergalactic parasite or something.
Yeah,
and it even does like the little eye stalks, like the thing. But anyway, it runs off, it cuts the power, or will it infect somebody, I guess, and then the power gets cut, and you know, their shoe's gonna, like, one of us is infected, and he's like, except you because you're a robot. But he's like, oh yeah. And anyway, so what they're gonna do is just like when Kurt Russell did the blood test and the thing, he's gonna do a caffeine test. He's gonna make everyone drink coffee.
Yeah.
And whoever has a bad reaction to it is the creature, I guess. And you know, they do the whole thing, and then everybody like kind of does the gross out face, and
Yeah.
Yuma, who doesn't like coffee, is like, oh, coffee's actually not that bad. She has a delayed reaction to it, but Ren ends up
Yeah,
being
because he hardened the coffee,
yeah.
so it wouldn't have a like a delayed effect.
Yeah. And she vomits up the chunks of coffee or whatever. And then she turns into like this plant monster and gets like her arms turned into like vines or something. And they get into a fight. And then Ultraman Arc turns human size
Yeah.
and gets into a fight with her. And then UP like gets the coffee grinds and like turns it into a spray. And Arc is able to like get the parasite out of her or something. And, you know, and I will say it is my favorite story, but it's also the one where I think they have to really, the lesson is a bit of a stretch. I really don't know what the lesson was. Like I said in my plot summary, I guess he learned to like,
Yeah, that was the whole thing, Aaron.
Be calm.
You be calm in stressful situations, even though you don't know what's going on around you or who you can trust.
yeah, I mean, the whole lesson should have been about trust. But if they were going to do that lesson, I mean, not that it would have been entirely original or anything, but the thing that would have been to have none of them be infected and them just be paranoid of each other, and then him come to the realization that no one's infected. But they had a right to be paranoid of each other. She was, in fact, infected with the parasite. So I don't know. The lesson didn't.
It's kind of like the thing. You didn't know who you could trust.
Yeah, but
so you had to be calm.
John Carpenter's The Thing wasn't. I mean, it was about paranoia, but it wasn't this. There wasn't like an alien trying to teach a lesson.
Well, that alien wasn't trying to teach a lesson.
He was trying to, but no. But I don't know. It just didn't play for me. I think I don't know. It just played weird for the lesson they were trying to teach.
It was fine. I thought it was fine.
But it was my favorite segment just because I love John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
And that was fun that they did that whole riff. And then the third one is your more pretty typical like Ultraman thing where Shu, I don't remember how much of his backstory we got in the show, but basically he had one of the reasons he hates aliens. He had a colleague that got caught by alien repo. And it reminded me of the scene of The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Like he busts, like he did like this first person view thing, which wasn't in The Dark Knight, but he busts in and the guy's like tied up to a chair to explosives and it blows up. And all I could think about was like in The Dark Knight when Rachel and whatever his face, the guy that turned into Two-Face were strapped to those barrels of oil or whatever. And she blew up and Rachel. But anyway, he kicks in the door and shoots at the alien and the bomb goes off and kills his friend or whatever. So he obviously has a lot of trauma over that, and the alien mailed an old model like thing that he had made, and it's like this weird ugly like face thing, and goading him basically. Eventually, and then a kaiju attacks. Is what did I call it? The Zero Galos or whatever, and it's attacking the science center. But it's really just a ploy to get Shu out in the open and like basically force him to take on the form of Arc Guile, which is like the guilty version of Ultraman Arc. And of course, he's like a black Ultraman Arc. And then you get the very like generic Ultraman like power of friendship thing where they're basically going to hug it out and he's going to be like, Shu, can you hear me? And then he gets through to him and then they're like, oh, well, now we're going to team up. And because then Repo turns Zero Galos into Repetios or whatever.
Yeah.
And they team up and it is kind of like a Age of Ultron thing where it like cuts the city out of the ground and flies it up in the air and they get into a fight and then Arc Guile like spins it around really fast and Arc ends up beating Repetios. But anyway, then it's like falling back to the ground and they have to like catch it and guide it back in. And and like I said, it's your more typical of like Ultraman, modern Ultraman thing and the power of friendship thing that we get. Friendship, wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
A very tender moment when they wake up beside each other on the rooftop. But you know, it's fine. It's whatever.
It's fine. It's a fine movie.
And then you get the end, like the end bit where, well, there was a guy in a hood that helped Yuma.
Mm-hmm.
And then while Yuma is dealing with everything else at the end, we figure out that it's Yuma from the future. You called it. It was Yuma from the future.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it may be like a cameo of another Ultraman or something, but no, it was Yuma from the future. That is one thing that they've definitely made a pointed attempt to get away from is like the crossovers and cameos in these movies.
Yeah.
And really just focus it on whatever show that they're capping off, which I think is a good thing. I mean, I don't mind the cameos and the crossovers. I like seeing the old Ultraman and stuff.
But you know, when they try to make it sometimes they make it too much about the other ones.
Sometimes sometimes it just gets to be too much, and it's like, can we just focus on one or two characters here? And but no,
that one show was it Geed,
where it was like,
it was really just zero show.
Yeah, I mean, and they're towards the end of like the new generation era. I mean, they would just have like 20 Ultraman in a show, and it's like, you can't possibly give all these people screen time.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate that they keep it pretty focused on one Ultraman here. And the alien asked the future Yuma, "Oh yeah, I forgot. What lesson did you learn?" And he learned I don't know, the power of friendship or something.
Yeah.
But and then you go back to basically to the beginning where they're making their hot pot dish, and Yuma, of course, has to do the thing like all these non-canon movies do, where he's like, "Oh, I don't remember anything." And Yuma also says that, although I think he's fibbing. I think he remembers it.
Yeah.
And they get to, and you know, they start just playfully fighting each other, all of them, each over the hot pot dish and who gets what. And yeah, that's the end of the movie. And then you get like a little montage of the whole show with episode titles and everything to remind you as the credits roll. But yeah, so what did you think? Did you enjoy it? Did you?
I thought the movie was fine.
Yeah, like I said,
I enjoyed every bit of it.
Every bit. I don't know about every bit of it. Like I said, some of it was stronger than other parts of it. I do think that by making it like an anthology movie, basically, it kept it fresh, like kept it from getting stale. I mean, it's a 75-minute movie, which is pretty standard runtime for these things, but it kept it from feeling. They said that, you know, I think they tried to say that they made, you know, they wrote these for this movie. I feel like this was probably 3 episode ideas that they just didn't have time to fit into their 25 episode run. They got cut out. So they just kind of recycled the scripts for this movie. In fact, I would bet a lot of money that's what happened. But I think it works. It keeps it from feeling like a stretched out episode, like so many of these things feel like it was a scrapped 20-minute script that they recycled for their movie and stretched out for, you know, an hour. So it keeps it from feeling stale. And by framing it in this anthology framework, it keeps it from feeling too gimmicky, like they just stitched some episodes together randomly. So I applaud them on that. Like I said, that first story is really aimed at preschoolers. I mean, it is whatever.
I think it's fine. It's you know, a typical Ultraman thing nowadays.
Yeah. The second story I had a lot of fun with mostly because of the riff on the thing. That was fun. And then, like I said, the third story is your more typical like Ultraman adventure you'd get in these kind of things, and evil Ultraman, power of friendship, all that jazz. And it was fine. It functions. There's a lot of kaiju action and Ultraman on Ultraman action in that last bit. It's the longest bit, I think. And yeah, it was fine.
Perfectly acceptable.
Perfectly acceptable. Creature design. We have the Dogwolf, which that's the type of kaiju it is. It's the Mugon or whatever. It's a dog wolf thing. It looks like a plastic dog wolf thing.
I think it looks fine.
It looks fine. It's got like glowing ears and you know, the big puppy dog eyes, and it's got like the wolf hair look, and stands up on his back feet, of course, to accommodate the suit actor. And yeah, it looks fine. Then I forget what they were called, but the 2 kaiju that attack it. They look like boulders with arms and a head,
Yeah.
turtle-like things, and they're kind of like pinkish in color or
They're red.
reddish in color, and they got mean faces, and they like at one point they like clamp together and like spin around real fast.
They become a Beyblade essentially.
Yeah. And they bounce around until Ultraman splits them, and that's kind of fun. We have the plant. I forget what the technical term for it was, but
it's a plant.
It's like this big yellow flower thing, but then like I said, it gets like the little eye stalks like like in the thing when like the head peeled off and then the eye stalks came out of it. And then it gets like these little like tentacle arms and runs around, and then when she gets infected, she gets like the vines for arms and slinging them around and stuff. And then the final one we have Arc Guile. He's Ultraman Arc, but he's like gray and black and red eyes. You get Alien Zeppo, who he's like this giant bird looking thing. He's got like a giant bird beak thing, I think, and he's usually because he's kind of like a phantom kaiju, so he's usually got like the transparent like smoky effect thing going on. And then you have Zero Galos, who's almost like a Zeton looking thing with like the yellow column on his face, and just kind of got that Zeton vibe. And then he turns into Repedios, who is like a giant dinosaur-ish
monster,
Godzilla dinosaur monster thing. So, but he looks fine. I thought he looked good.
Looks perfectly fine.
Is that it as far as the kaiju?
Yeah, pretty much all.
Well, I guess we probably talked about Arc in our previous episode.
Yeah.
Arc looks like
we've talked about Arc so many times.
He's got that armor, the Arc armor, and he does all that.
He
stuff.
looks like Arc.
He looks like Arc. But no, I thought all the kaiju looked fine. The dog looked a little cheap, but whatever, that's okay.
He looks fine.
But I thought all the other kaiju looked good. Getting into effects, and I had the same complaint I think about the show. Like the model tanks look really cheap in this movie. But,
they try to make them look futuristic to hide it.
I guess. There is one cool shot where it's all a camera trick, obviously, but they make it look like they stuck a camera on one of the tanks and then it gets like blown up and it flies through the air with the camera on it. That was kind of fun. I mean, the explosions look good. The kaiju look good. The beams look good. The flying scenes don't look too terrible. The compositing, it looks fine. Some of it looks kind of awkward, but that's pretty par for the course. Overall, pretty par for the course for an Ultraman project. No major issues or,
anything like
that. The tanks did look cheap, but that's okay. And then the score, it's an Ultraman score. It is what it is. It's pretty, it works. It functions.
It works for Ultraman score.
The song at the end works. No major problems there or anything. So,
yeah.
Final thoughts?
Go
for it.
Well, like we said, this movie is fine for an Ultraman movie. It's a short, sweet, 75 minutes. The anthology bit of it keeps you, fresh and entertained with each segment. And, the scores, whatever, it's Ultraman score. They had the theme song and then a few other songs and then the ending song. They're all fine and dandy.
Yeah.
And the acting, it's just as good as the acting was in the show. I like all these characters. They do a pretty good job with what they're given.
Yeah.
And, all the creatures look cool. All the creatures in this movie look fine and all that. I think I'll give this movie, I'll give it a C+.
Yeah, listen, you talked about acting. The only two that are really asked to perform a lot are Yuma and then Shu in that final
the first
episode.
Act, the captain had to act a pretty good amount.
Yeah, I guess he had the thing with the dog. But really, it's Yuma, and then Shu has to act out a lot of emotion at the end. You know, they do fine. I mean, they're like boy idols that were conscripted into starring into this thing, just like every show, and they do fine. They do what they have to do. But yeah, listen, it's a pretty typical Ultraman adventure. I mean, nothing too great, nothing too bad. You know, I said that I like the anthology framework. I thought that was a neat little idea for this movie to keep it from feeling like a stretched out episode. We'll just make it into 3 separate episodes. And I thought they were more or less fun. That first one, whatever. The second one was a lot of fun with the Thing riff. And the last one is your more standard Ultraman adventure with its themes and everything, and it functions. Fun kaiju fights, all that jazz, and it was fine. It's a fine way. It's only 75 minutes. I mean, not a bad way to spend 75 minutes if you like Ultraman. I'm with you. I think it's about a C+ adventure, but we do have some news. First of all, I'm going to start with a kind of a broad subject, and I'll narrow it down to how it affects, the stuff that we talk about on this podcast. Obviously, unless you live under a rock, you've heard that Netflix and Warner Brothers have agreed to a merger. Now, there's some new updates today that I'll get to in a little bit, but as far as that news goes, obviously there's a lot of people that know a lot more about it than I do, but basically Netflix will acquire Warner Brothers. Now, Netflix was acting like it's a done deal. Obviously, even before today's news, it was far from a done deal. One, because Warner Brothers Discovery, because that was a merger pretty recently. They're in the process of spinning off their linear cable channels into a separate publicly traded entity. So those are like CNN, obviously all the Discovery channels and the spinoffs of the Discovery Channel and all that stuff. And that wasn't scheduled to be done until third quarter of 2026. So obviously the new merger couldn't take place until that was completed. So at the earliest, it would have been third quarter 26. And of course, it also has to pass, get approved by the government, by the regulatory agencies. And, I know that there was a Trump official already that had said that they had a much more likely chance of having to settle for their $5 billion back out deal than ended actually getting approved to merge. Mm-hmm. But it's like a $72 billion deal with like a $5 billion back out clause or something. There's a lot of people obviously worried about what this means for movies, for the theatrical experience. The Netflix CEO came out and said that they don't, obviously all the Warner Brothers movies that are scheduled to come out in theaters would go out in theaters. I don't think Netflix would get rid of theatrical movies, from the Warner Brothers properties. What the Netflix CEO did say he wanted to get rid of was basically the 45-day theatrical exclusive window where, you put it out in theaters for, it varies, but standard 45 days in theaters exclusively before you put it on home video or, video on demand or a streaming service or whatever. And obviously that would be bad for the theater industry. You can have your arguments over whether that helps, it's good for the consumer, bad for the consumer. I mean, obviously there is a lot of people I fully acknowledge that would rather just sit at home and watch new movies and never go to the theater. Obviously I have a big soft spot for going to the theater, watching a movie on the big screen. I think, if you like movies, you really should experience that as much as you can. Now, I also recognize that there has become a kind of cost prohibitive for a lot of Americans because going to the movie is expensive, especially if you want to buy concession and all that. And theaters have sort of brought that on themselves. Now, distributors have kind of also forced that on theaters by taking higher and higher cuts of the ticket prices, the ticket sales. So it's kind of a, circular thing. But anyway, I know you guys all know that already, but the news today was that Paramount is going to attempt a hostile takeover. So basically, Warner Brothers had received an offer from Paramount already. The same offer that Paramount's going to take directly to the shareholders now, had declined it. the board of Warner Brothers had declined it and accepted Netflix's instead. So I think it was like Paramount offered like $30 a share versus Netflix offered like $24 a share. Now, Warner Brothers' reasoning behind that was that Netflix's offer would end up being more valuable because that offer did not include those, like I said, those linear cable channels which were being spun off into their own entity. Whereas Paramount wanted the whole thing, even though they were offering a slightly higher price. Well, Paramount got ticked off about it. So they're going to do, basically a hostile bid where they're, instead of, going through the board of Warner Brothers, they're going to go directly to the shareholders and offer $30 a share. So we'll see how that plays out. Obviously there's going to be a lot of politicking back and forth about it. And then, if Netflix got Warner Brothers, basically, I think they would have the theatrical movies, but they would want those IPs for their streaming service. They'd make more, like the Harry Potter TV show, and they'd make more stuff like that. And obviously they would absorb all of the HBO Max content into Netflix. I would assume they just do away with HBO Max. If Paramount gets it, Paramount still has it's probably better for the theater industry. Paramount still has a vested interest in theatrical grosses because they're still mainly a movie company. Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of divisions, obviously, and they have Paramount Plus, but they still want to take movies to the theaters. But if they got it, they would also probably just absorb HBO Max into Paramount Plus, but they would have all those IPs and everything. I mean, honestly, the best case scenario would probably be Warner Brothers stay independent and we don't have these just giant 2 or 3 giant movie studios. Well, like Disney's already absorbed half the Hollywood, but
they can't. Then, only so many mergers can happen because, they can't be in a monopoly.
They can't be, the antitrust laws eventually. Yeah, and, I don't know how I don't want to turn this into a long dissertation, but I don't know how much sway those antitrust laws hold because these are entertainment companies. They're not selling basic necessities. I mean, even like cable companies, you can still argue like, hey, Americans need cable TV to get access to information and all this. So, the antitrust laws kick in. But these companies, especially if Warner Brothers spins off their linear cable channels, they're not really offering, it's streaming services. Like, do Americans really need streaming? I mean, streaming is kind of taking the place of cable channels, but do they really need streaming services? Do we really need to fight an antitrust battle over which companies own which movies, Which, again, I'm not in favor of them all merging, but I just don't know when you get into a court how much, sway that's going to have. But anyway, all that to say, so let's get to where this affects, obviously, the content that we cover. The MonsterVerse it's a little weird. I believe the characters are actually licensed from Toho through Legendary. And obviously Legendary and Warner Brothers already got into a spat over the day-and-date release movies on HBO Max and in theaters during COVID. And that's why allegedly Legendary took the MonsterVerse or the Monarch TV show to Apple Plus instead of giving it to HBO Max. But Warner Brothers does have the distribution rights for those for the MonsterVerse movies in North America. So if they sell to Netflix, those movies would probably end up on Netflix. Now, Netflix already is familiar with, they've got obviously the Godzilla anime trilogy. They have the Singular Point. They even have some MonsterVerse content. I believe it was Netflix that put on that Skull Island anime. So they're not newbies to any of this. But they would absorb obviously the MonsterVerse movies, and Warner Brothers has the distribution rights to a lot of those old Showa era Godzilla movies. If you go on HBO Max, basically all the Showa era movies except for like King Kong versus Godzilla, which is still got owned by Universal. The distribution rights are still owned by Universal or on HBO Max. So those would all come on to Netflix. And then the same thing, if Paramount bought them out, then they would then have the distribution rights to those movies. Obviously, if Netflix buys it, those exclusive theatrical windows for the new ones may go away or at least be shortened. Whereas if Paramount buys it, they'd probably still have those exclusive theatrical windows. But then they would go to Paramount Plus or whatever. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it all plays out. Is basically what I'm saying. But
in other news,
speaking of Netflix, Troll 2 hit number 1 on the global Netflix chart.
wow.
So apparently it's been a pretty big hit for Netflix. We'll be reviewing that in a couple weeks, I think.
I think so.
So look forward to that. I wanted, speaking of HBO Max, Shin Godzilla made its 4K streaming debut on HBO Max.
Wow.
So if you didn't get the new physical media release,
you can just watch it there.
you can watch it on HBO Max. So there you go. If you want to pay for HBO Max, I'm mad at HBO Max though right now because we were doing, we were family was sharing the account, but they've cracked down to where you can only share the account on one Wi-Fi. If you're in different households, you can't do it. So I got locked out, and now I'm sad. I wanted to watch a Studio Ghibli movie the other night, and I couldn't. So that's why you should invest in physical media, people, so these streaming services can't take them away. But anyway.
In other news.
Yeah, and then the last thing I want to talk about, I am in the midst of a kind of a podcast revitalization effort. So if you've noticed, I've updated our logo. Logo. I've updated our logo. Got a new smashy logo. I updated our description. I also revived our podcast, our YouTube channel. Now we don't have actually videos, but you can find the podcast in audio format
on YouTube.
On YouTube. So if you scrolling across YouTube,
because we've already revitalized the podcast for a while now.
I mean, the podcast has been back on air, but I've also I've re-signed. I was posting only on Facebook, but I've signed back into Twitter. I found our Twitter account. And I found our Instagram account. So I'm going to try to, I think when I post an episode on Spotify Creator that I can automatically.
I think there's a way that you can just send it out to all the.
I think I can automatically post it to all three. You can also link your Facebook and your Instagram account, obviously, because they're the same company. Which I tried to do that the other day and I couldn't figure it out. But
wow.
So anyway, I'm going to try to be more active on the socials. I'm going to try to obviously post on all three when a new episode comes out. But I'm also going to try to do more than just post when an episode comes out. I'm going to try to interact more with
our listeners,
our followers. So, you guys let me know which social media platform do you prefer?
Comment in the leave a comment in the below.
Yeah, leave a comment below.
Leave a comment below.
And I also signed back in because I never look at the comments if they're not on Spotify. Like I never sign into Apple Podcasts because I'm an Android user. So I never see I don't see the comments if they're on Apple Podcast or if they're on Pandora or whatever, even though a majority of our listeners, according to the statistics, are from Apple Podcasts and Pandora.
You should probably look and see if there's any comments on those.
But but comment on whatever you want to. I'm gonna try to be more active on all of those things, and I'm gonna really try to put some more life into this podcast. I'd love to get some guest hosts, call somebody we know. I mean, Dylan, maybe. I'm hoping Dylan, I'm sure he'll be home for Christmas. Maybe we can con him in to go in and watch an Anaconda with us and recording an episode over Anaconda. I'm sure he would enjoy that.
The one guest host we know.
Hey, maybe even get Adam to go watch Anaconda. He likes I'm sure he likes Jack Black and Paul Rudd. Getting it on the podcast might be a separate issue. But but yeah, I would really like to grow this thing and really build a foundation for our podcast.
Maybe one day we work up to that live stream thing.
One thing I do think if we ever like really get a bunch of new audience members. One day we might have to go back and recover Godzilla. I don't know what it would look like. I don't want to just totally like redo it the same. I would like, maybe change the format of the episodes a little bit or talk about different things. But we might circle back around and redo Godzilla. Maybe not like a linear like we did 1 through 38 or whatever, maybe jump around or something. But that's one thing that I have thought about. But anyway, as far as the schedule coming up immediately goes, we have the recap of Kaiju number 8, season 2 coming up next week. Andrew and I just started on getting through season 2. The other day we watched the special episode, and then we watched the first couple of actual episodes. So we'll be finishing that up and bringing you our thoughts on season 2 next week. And then I believe we have Troll 2, and then we have Anaconda to end the year. So I think that's our last 3 episodes of the year. So and then next year we'll do a recap. I think first week over the latest Ultraman Omega show, and other stuff. But anyway, Andrew, is that all I got this week?
I think that's all we got for this week.
All right. Well, don't forget that you can contact us at 1954@gmail.com.
And you can find our website at www.stomp3.wordpress.com.
That's right. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For the first time in forever.
For the first time in a long time. At Stomp This Way. So, yeah, and I really encourage you guys, if you want to continue, listening to our podcast, comment. Tell us what kind of content you want us to do. Where you want us to interact with you guys at, whether it be on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, in the comments on Spotify, whatever the case is, and give some movie suggestions, all that kind of stuff. And I look forward to, and email us, of course, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. But other than that, don't forget, next week you need to catch up on Kaiju number 8, season 2 on Crunchyroll. Not sponsored by Crunchyroll. We would accept such sponsorship. And we'll give you all our thoughts on season 2. So, as always, I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we will see you next time.